Welcome back to another episode of the Backlog Breakdown, a video game podcast where we're seeking to encourage and equip the church to engage the medium of video games wisely and responsibly. I'm your host, Josh, and with me today, as usual, as always, is my co-host and my brother in Christ, Nate.
It's me. Yeah, that as per the usual, we have convened again. This time.
Some would say reconvened.
Reconvened.
Convening again. Yeah, multiple times. And guys, as we start off this episode, I just want to offer an apology. We have gone 182 episodes, and we have never talked specifically about Mega Man X. That is a travesty to me on a podcast that I co-host.
Tonight, Josh,
we've never done this.
You can stow your outrage because we will rectify that tonight.
Thank you. That sounds a little gross, but I guess we'll be rectifying some things. Anyways, we are talking Mega Man X today, and we will get to talking about Mega Man X, and I'm super stoked because this is one of my favorite games of all time. It's one of our favorite games of all time.
Maybe
at least
you shouldn't.
So says our top 100.
What if I hated it?
You might have hated it.
What if I think it's a disgusting piece of slop?
Well, then we will have a lot to talk about later on this podcast as to why our number 13 on our top 100 list.
Spoilers.
Is slop.
I did not think it was slop.
Yes. But we will get to and then that's where the ellipses is in our conversation. We will get to that later. But first, before we get to that, it has been an undisclosed amount of time since the last time we talked. And so I want to know how you doing, Nate.
I think you meant to say that it's been an undisclosed amount of time since we last spoke.
Yeah, that's a thing too.
The TLDR is cars suck and I hate them. So Nissan's transmission went. It was not a vacuum issue. It was a transmission issue. The Nissan has like 180,000 miles on it.
Okay.
And like, it's kind of at that point where it's like, we could fix it for $2,500, $3,000, somewhere in that ballpark. Or we just take the L and we're just like, so now we're in this spot where we're trying to find not just the title for my Liberty, but now the title for the Sentra. So that we can go scrap these. So I hate cars. Cars suck. They're the worst. But what's been kind of, and it's frustrating, but it's also, I think it's been kind of interesting. We've been a one car family. And so that means that we leave like basically a half hour earlier than we would normally. Megan drops me off at work, then she takes Byron to daycare, and then she goes to work. Oh, it is late. This is going to be interesting. Oh boy, I'm already doing that, and we're just getting started on the main episode. But and then I usually manage to like bum a ride home. I have had a few offers to like for people like, hey, I can come pick you up, and I might take them up on that just because it is getting to be a bit much. So yeah.
Dang,
we'll
man.
see. Yeah, it just kind of sucks. It just kind of sucks because it's just like it's like my initial sort of reaction is like, I need this. Like, I need a hole in my head.
Sure. Yeah.
This sucks. But yeah, it's not the end of the world.
Right.
We've got sort of a plan. Like, we're gonna get rid of these things. We're going to, probably spend a little bit of time just. We were talking about it, and we don't want to just rush into another vehicle just to get another vehicle. Like, we want to make sure that we're getting something that we want. and that so yeah, it'll just be yeah, it'll
Yeah.
be it'll be something.
Yeah.
So
Maybe like a Tesla, but probably with not very much damage on the outside, you know.
yeah, definitely not one that's on fire or
Yeah.
was set on fire. No,
Sorry,
I
that was a dumb
wouldn't.
joke. Sorry, guys.
Eh, I mean, most of your jokes are pretty dumb,
Yeah,
but
it's true. This,
that
you know.
that wasn't even close to the dumbest one that I've heard
Oh,
from you.
yeah.
Um, it might be the dumbest one tonight, but not even
Hmm.
close to the dumbest one I've ever heard from you.
Mm,
Um, so,
yeah.
but no, it's. I mean, in spite of all that, like, and here's the thing: like, I kind of like everybody packing up into the car
Hmm.
and like going into work together. Like, it's like 10, 15 minutes, but it's like it's just kind of nice to have that little bit of time with my family in the morning like that.
Yeah.
Um,
Nice.
in theory, there's nothing preventing us from doing that. Like, if there are vehicles, there's nothing preventing us from doing that in the mornings, period.
Sure.
But I do like that. It's just kind of like, yeah. Anyways,
Yeah.
yeah, that's what we've got going on sort of at our end. How
Hmm.
about how are you guys doing?
Man, well, now I feel a little guilty, but I'll just jump into it. We had some family come up for a bit last weekend for kind of like an extended weekend through like Friday to Tuesday. And we went to Kansas City, which is like 3 hours away. The family, so it's Samantha's cousin and her husband. They came in. We hung out here for a few days, did a bunch of stuff. Checked out a sushi place that was nice. Went to a zoo, like just did a bunch of stuff. And then we had this concert in Kansas City, about 3 hours away. Dropped the kids off with their friends, and we went over there for a concert that we had gotten. We'd gotten tickets for as a Christmas present. They announced this tour around the end of last year, and Samantha and I decided this was going to be our Christmas gift to each other. Was getting these tickets. They weren't that expensive, but getting the tickets, and then we'd figure out how to get there, basically, because it's a few hours away. You know what we were going to do with the kids and all that stuff. So, her cousin and her husband ended up coming with us. It was so headlining is a band called Anne Boleyn. They had a
Hmm.
20-year anniversary tour of their album, Never Take Friendship Personal. So they played through that entire album, which is super cool. And they were on tour with another band called Copeland that was doing
Hmm.
a 20-year anniversary tour of an album called In Motion. So they played through that entire album, and it was awesome. Like it was such a cool concert. The opening band, they were called Medina Lake. They actually dropped off the tour, and so they had another band come on called The Dangerous Summer, and I like them quite a bit. Um, Turns out they like to party. As I found out after the show, talking with the lead singer, who did not seem like he was there. I'll put it that way. Sweet guy, but man, his head was in the clouds, and you can smell it too. Anyways,
Ah, jeez.
they put on a great show. Like it was fun, but it's
Was
just
his
like,
head in
oh
the
man, this
clouds
guy's
or was
this
it
guy's
in the tankards?
in a pillar of smoke. Put it that way.
Ah.
But he was very like kind. He was just having a great night, man, and he's in love with this girl that he's gonna propose to, and this is just the way that he was talking the whole time. So yeah, he wasn't quite there, but it was a really fun concert. And actually it was actually him. He said that after the show that the bands and the crew, they were going to go up the street a couple blocks to this bar, and he told us the name of the bar. So we were like, cool, we're staying in Kansas City, you guys want to go? So we went there, met some other people from the concert, and we're talking with them for probably about an hour. And then in comes like a few of the band members, and then a bunch of the crew there. And so we were talking with the drummers from a few of the different bands from Copeland and then from the Dangerous Summer as well, and getting to know them. And they were all like super appreciative because they noticed us in the crowd singing along to all the songs. So it was so cool. And, I mean, we were out till probably like 2 in the morning, and then went back to our hotels. But we had a great time. It was a fun. Then we went to Boulevard Brewing Company the next day, because that's there in Kansas City, which is pretty cool. We only were there for like an hour. We couldn't stay very long, but Anyways,
Mm.
had a great time is all that I'm trying to say. I will say I'm old and I definitely felt the late bedtime, which is ironic that I say that as we're recording this podcast because that happens all the time. But being out
Yeah,
that
but
late.
we only did it like, dude, we do feel it the next day.
Mhm.
And there's a reason we only do this once every 2 weeks.
Every couple of weeks. Yeah, right. Exactly.
If
But
we like the reality is, if we ever move to like a more like regular format, like weekly,
mhm, mhm.
we would have to record. Uh, we would have to change things.
Yes, yes, things
Like
would have to be changed. That is
we would
certain.
probably have to record multiple times in a week.
Mhm.
Yeah, it
Monday's the first half of the episode. Tuesday's the second half of the yeah.
and then
Logistics.
Saturday, like Saturday morning is the bro hang.
Bro hang. Yep,
Yeah,
exactly. Grab your cup of coffee and let's go. Yeah. Yeah. But anyways, so I've had a a great time, I'd say. That
just
certainly yes.
Yeah, and just it's not like it's been like awful. Like it's been like fine. It's
Right.
just it's like
Annoying, frustrating.
yeah. Like I wanted to like. So here's the thing.
Mhm.
Also, like the process to get duplicate titles is like overly
Oh,
complicated. It
yeah.
used to be this thing where
Yeah.
it's like you could just like go onto the PennDOT website and type in your information and they'd send
Mhm.
a copy of your title.
'Kay.
But I guess because of uh fraud and things like
Mhm.
that. They're like, nope, can't do that anymore. So we have to go to there's a AAA, and
Okay.
we have a AAA membership, so we're just going to go there and have them do it, and
Nice.
hopefully get new titles. Um,
Yeah.
so it just sucks. It just sucks. Like I'm gonna like I've spent the last couple of weeks not like tearing the house apart, but
Mhm.
like yeah, I go looking for them and they're just not. I'm just like, where are these titles? Like
Yeah.
it's like I thought we left them in the vehicles. I was wrong. Like
Mm.
they aren't in the vehicles. So it's just like it's kind of like it's frustrating because it's just like
Yeah.
oh jeez. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and especially when you're not expecting it. You know, if you're driving a clunker around, you kinda expect it, and when it comes out of left field, it's frustrating.
yeah, I mean, and like the yeah, so it's just like the Nissan. It was really just kind of like a little heartbreaking, but
Yeah, for
it's
sure.
like oh my life is over. It's just like oh well this sucks.
Yeah.
like
Ouch.
like
Ouch. Mhm.
like this like I said, it's just it's kind of like where we are at a spot where we're just like, hey, we are not just going to like rush into getting another vehicle.
Yep.
Like we'll tough it out until we find like the thing that we need.
Sure.
And then we're gonna pull it because like there's like part of like even the history of the Liberty and the Sentra both was like these are vehicles that people gave to us for basically the cost of title transfers.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And so it was like, well, this is just we needed vehicles and they're like, here you go. And we're like, okay, like yeah, this works.
Yeah.
Sweet. And yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
they were older and had a lot of miles on them, but
Sure.
it just sucks. It still
Yep.
sucks. So
Yeah. Yep. Well, one of the things that I mentioned that we did was go to this Kansas City, go to this concert is what I meant to say. You know, see a few bands. So I
hey,
think
are
what's that?
Amberlin or
Mhm.
is Amberlin that's the Bad Christian guys, isn't it?
No, that's Emery.
Emery. But Amberlin and Emery were like they were friends. Like weren't
I'm not
they?
sure, honestly.
I
Anne
thought like they
Boleyn
toured
was from
together.
Florida. I mean, maybe for some tour that I didn't know. Emery is definitely heavier. Anne Boleyn rarely does the screaming
Yeah,
thing.
Amberlin does like more of the. It's just I'm familiar with Amberlin,
Okay.
but like they're more like a little like lighter alt rock poppy. Not
Yeah.
poppy isn't the right word, but
But yeah,
yeah.
it veers in that sometimes, yes, for sure.
Okay,
But yeah, the more rock
okay, yeah.
centric. They did. Oh, sorry.
I just couldn't remember like
Yeah.
who the Bad Christian dude, but yeah, it's Emery. Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, not them. I did see them not too long ago, maybe about a year ago at the thing that Hawthorne Heights put on. But anyways, that's a story for another time. But speaking of media that we've listened to, there might be
Don't
some
do it.
media to
I don't
report
enjoy
on
it.
that we've got.
I
I love that it just cuts you off, that you like can't even talk through it. You're so infuriated.
I feel like media report
Mhm.
doesn't it's just like there's something about it that I don't like, that it's just like
Mhm.
it's sort of very generic-y. It's like,
Yeah.
it's time for the media report. I'm like,
Mhm.
I feel like we need to rebrand that like three cool things or something like that. Or
Yeah.
like
Yeah. But then what do you
um
do when it's not three things?
yeah.
I don't know.
That's
Anyways, no,
that's
I'm
the problem.
totally up for it. But just so you know, anything that we rebrand it to is gonna have some AI slop
Like
attached to it.
I
Like it just
recognize
has
that
to be
the
there.
AI slop is sort of inherent to the process now.
Yeah.
Um
Yeah.
like it
You're
just
never gonna
it's
get away from that.
I'm never getting away from it. But I just I do think like the media report thing, it's like so
Mhm.
listeners, friends, countrymen, let us know what you think.
Mm.
Lend us your thoughts.
Mm. Yes,
Um
and we will lend our ears in your hearing.
unless it's a stupid thought, and then we no we just won't. We won't lend
But
our
still the
thoughts.
ears at least will lend. We
No,
don't
if it's
there's no
stupid, I'm not gonna
I won't
no.
even hear it.
I'm
I
not
won't
even
even
gonna
listen.
hear it. If it's
Not
stupid,
in my hearing.
like I'm gonna put on my anti-stupid hearing, and it's just gonna
Mm.
like just right
This
past
is
me.
white
Just
noise.
whoosh.
White
it's
noise.
it's gonna be like the
I like
anti
it.
noise. It's gonna be like
Well, I think
fuzz.
you I think you have some media that's not white noise that you'd like to talk about, right? Maybe?
I do. Maybe. Yeah,
What you
you
got?
didn't. Did you not appreciate my bit? Like
Oh,
I
no, I
just said.
appreciate it. I just wanted to get on with it.
It's like, dude, we have already
I
been
like it.
recording for like 3 hours. We've got to like, um, all right. And I'll kind of, for the sake of brevity, even though we are
Mhm.
really good at being bad at it, I'm
It's
going to
true.
throw this out there. Um, the State of the Arc, I was listening to something they did. They
Okay.
didn't. So I listen to them pretty frequently. They're one of those shows I kind of keep up with.
Mhm.
Excuse me. Those gummy bears are catching up with me now.
Uh-oh.
Uh,
Oh,
the whole
man.
bag was
They're
a poor
they're
choice.
they're bouncing here and there and everywhere in your stomach.
Yeah,
It's wonderful.
in my tummy. Yeah.
Yeah.
But they did an episode not too long ago titled "Should Final Fantasy Downgrade to AA?"
Mm.
And I think it's a pretty interesting and insightful sort of a critique of just the state of Final Fantasy. And I would just say, like, I think it's worth the listen. Uh, I like just my personal thoughts. I feel like they sort of again in the title there. They zeroed in on Final Fantasy, but a lot of even what they were addressing was like it's more of a Square Enix has a problem.
Mm.
Um, so it's kind of like one of those things where I just think like Square Enix probably as a studio needs to do some serious reevaluation. But it's a really interesting conversation. I thought I enjoyed a lot of even even what I didn't agree with. I thought was like pretty interesting. So
Okay. Yeah.
I would recommend that. There's a book by Ed Welch,
Okay.
Welch
Mhm.
that
The grape juice guy.
sure. It's called Caring for Each Other, and it's just a short little guy, like maybe 100 pages kind of thing. And
Okay.
we're going to be doing some Sunday school, like like the adult Sunday school class is going to be doing some material sort of around that.
Mhm.
And so I wanted to just I listened to it. I ordered a physical version in preparation for it. So just like sort of get a head start on some of that and where it's going. And I think it's pretty good. Uh
Nice.
it's short. It's kind of he doesn't really pull any punches. It's not combative or nasty, but it's like
Mhm.
he just basically says like, hey, the like being caring for people means actually like being there and being interested and paying attention and m- maybe at times making less of yourself. And
Mhm.
so anyways, yeah,
Sounds biblical.
yeah, weird, I know.
Strange.
I like I said, it was like I kind of just listened to it. I'm gonna spend a little bit more time with it later on,
Mhm.
but it's not it seemed pretty good on its surface, like, and I think, like, there's good stuff there, period.
Yeah.
The last is, like, the sort of the song that the hymn that I've kind of been on lately is, What
Mhm.
Wondrous Love Is This? And there was an old
Mm.
Mars Hill band named Kenosis,
'Kay.
and they did a version of it that I think absolutely, like, rips. It's, like, got this, like, crunchy guitar, like, sorta like
Mm.
thing that I really love. I just like that hymn in
Nice.
general. What is it? Uh, there's a version of it, another version that I spent a lot of time listening to. I'm gonna just pull up my Apple Music here because somebody told me recently, Indelible Grace does a
'Kay.
version of What Wondrous Love Is This that is also very good. I think it's just a really cool hymn, and there's a couple really cool modern treatments of it that don't do the like here's a chorus 8 million times, and we're just gonna
Mhm.
like you know here's a bridge that was not part of the
My
original.
chains are gone. I've been set free.
Shoot me, no. Uh, but so yeah. But yeah, Kenosis and Indelible Grace's treatments in particular, I've really
Sweet.
been enjoying. But yeah, it's kind of a cool hymn. But yeah, those are the cool things that I like,
Yeah.
and wanted to sort of bring to the table.
Nice, nice. I like it too, and I will definitely be checking some of that stuff out, especially that State of the Arc podcast. That sounds very interesting. As for some of the three things that I'm bringing to the table, so I brought to the table last week some music in the form of Coheed and Cambria. Well, turns out that they are on tour with a couple bands right now, and I checked out one of the bands, and I had heard some of their stuff before, but I just hadn't gotten super into it, and I liked it. It just never kind of stuck around, but it's this band called Mastodon, and they've been
Oh yeah,
around
yeah, yeah.
for a while.
Hmm.
They've put out, I think they put out like their eighth album or something like that. But the more that I've been listening to them, I'm like, whoa, this is really cool. Like honestly, it reminds me of like Black Sabbath.
Yeah.
It's pretty like jammy, and the vocals are mixed pretty low in the mix. It's not really like a vocal forward kind of thing like
Hmm.
most pop music. Um, and yeah, it feels more kind of like a jam, like a vibe, if that makes sense. The whole song, like there's tons of riffs, really good guitar playing, crazy drums, but it doesn't feel like it's kind of like a wall of sound, kind of like each song has a feel to it, and it's like I hate to say that it's background music, but it's almost like it doesn't none of it is like sharp. It's good. It's all really good, but it's just like nice and mellow isn't the right word. I'm having a hard time describing it.
It's not. I maybe this word, but it's not a really an assertive sound.
Mhm.
Like it's a little more. I because I don't even want to call it subtle because like some of their stuff gets
Right.
kind of like grindy and
Yeah.
loud, and
Yes.
it's yeah,
It's technically very impressive, and it is, like metal sounding, but it's more kind of like sludge metal, if that makes sense. Just with the way that kind of with the
yeah.
way that it all kind of comes together.
It does sort
Anyways,
of like it does kind of fade into the background kind of
Yes.
nicely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
but but that sounds like a diss, and I don't mean it
but
that way. I mean, it's
but
very,
well,
very
I think because we're so used to music sort of being like if music is on, like if music is just filler, you
Mhm.
make the assumption that it's not worth listening to, really.
Right,
But
right.
this is like really good filler, which it's like, but that even that seems
Sounds like
it's
a diss.
good, but it just doesn't like scream like it's not a pick me girl band where it's like
Right.
pay attention to me. It's like
Yes.
no, it's like hey, we're just gonna kind of like be over here. You want to like vibe with us for a bit? Like cool.
Right.
You don't like that's cool too. We're gonna do our thing over here.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's cool to see something like that, or to hear, I guess, in this case, to hear something like that while it's also very technically proficient. Like, while
Yeah,
the dude can shred on guitars,
I
and the drums, again,
remember
are pretty crazy.
I remember listening to some of their stuff. I cannot name a single Mastodon song,
Right. Right, exactly.
but I remember really liking the album or 2 that I
Mhm.
listened to and being like, "Yeah, this is pretty sick."
Yeah.
But none of it it's like I really like it, and it is now that I'm thinking about it, it makes me feel really stupid because I don't know what any of it is called.
Yep. Yep.
I could you're like, "Hey, what's your favorite Mastodon song?" No idea.
Just the song that they play, it's
This
really good.
one, you know, the one that
Yeah.
goes, you know, like
Right. Exactly. Yes. Yeah, so I see you've heard them before. Well, I didn't know that, like, most of the guys in the band, it's a four-piece band, and most of the guys in the band sing vocals. I think there's only
oh,
one
okay.
guitarist that doesn't. The other guitarist recently left the band after, like, 20 years. So I don't know how
Have
that's gonna
they've
be.
been
I mean, I'm sure
around
it'll be
that
fun.
long?
Oh, yeah, yeah. Well, like I said,
Holy
they just put out,
crap.
like, their 8th album. Anyways, this album that I've been listening to it along with some more of their catalog, but I think it's just a great, I mean, I think it's
Also,
a fine place to start. Yep.
I didn't but I have not read the, like, novella stuff for the
Oh,
Afterman,
sure. Yeah.
but you and I talked about it a little bit. I don't know if we actually talked about it on an episode proper. I listened to that album or
Mhm.
those albums, and I was like, "Yo," like Coheed is like we're sort of in an experimenting phase. It's like, can you
Mhm.
guys keep me around? Because I really like that album. I like even the songs where you're
Sweet.
like these two songs kind of suck. I was like, I didn't hate them,
Mhm.
but I also don't have like an extensive knowledge of the band or what like their
Sure.
sound even. So it's like I was like, are they the weakest songs on this album? Yeah. Are these albums? Yeah, but I didn't think they were like, oh, this is trash. You know.
Mhm. Yeah.
Anyways,
Yeah. Yeah, there are reasons that, because I'm a nerd, I could go into, but I don't necessarily wanna take up that much time talking about it. But yeah, I'm that makes me very happy that you enjoy them, 'cause, I'm
yeah,
stoked.
it was kind of like this weird renaissance where because then I started like listening to Muse again, and Muse and Coheed
Mhm.
are not the same thing, but
Mhm.
they both have like these big, like very big, very produced sounds,
Yep.
like two different ends of the spectrum. But it was like, oh, because like so much of mine, my music taste is like very punk rock ethos,
Yeah.
like three
Yeah.
piece, 4 piece.
Mhm.
I don't need or want tons and tons of production. I don't mind it, but
Mhm.
I like things to be kind of like stripped down, a little minimalist. But then it's
Yep.
like I'm like, oh no, you know what? Like, yeah, I do like just big
Mhm.
sounds sometimes. Like sometimes I want like that big, like just produced,
Yep.
like sometimes I just want that. Sometimes I
Mhm.
want the big production. Yeah.
Yep. Well, if you go back to their first album, you can hear it. It sounds like it's something they made in their garage, which I think they basically did. But anyways, so it has changed a bit since that. But yes, right now, current Coheed, and for quite a while, it has been, yeah, very produced. Um, Anyways, back to Mastodon. All I'm saying is that I've been jamming to a bunch of their music, but their latest album is great. It's called Hushed and Grim, and it's good stuff. And so wanted to recommend that. On the more kind of serious stuff, because that's just kind of fun. I haven't really gotten into the lyrics and stuff like that. Um, on the more serious end, I have been watching through a survey of church history by Robert Godfrey, and
Mm.
that's put out by Ligonier. I believe it is 6 different volumes, if I remember correctly. And I've been watching through those videos because I've owned them on my Ligonier learning library for quite a long time. And it is exactly what it says. It is an overview. Godfrey has certain things that he wants to kind of bring out over different sections, which is very interesting and I was going to say enlightening, but maybe that's not the right word to use. It's just on the forefront of my mind because church history.
Mhm.
But it is a really good kind of survey. It does move very fast. So I'd like to highlight that, recommend that for sure to get a good overview. But there is also a book series. Now I have only listened to the first book in the series, but I own a few of them. I would like to, as the Pokemans say, collect them all. Gotta catch them all. Anyways, the book series is 2000 Years of Christ's Power by Nick Needham. And this is a more in-depth, it's still, it's a more in-depth look at church history over time. It is still written for the layperson, but it is much more in-depth than a simple survey. And you do get to see a lot of kind of the lines that are run
Mm.
through different like theological disagreements and things that have happened over the course of time. That has been very interesting. So, anyways, just wanted to bring those to the table. Is the Survey of Church History by Robert Godfrey, as well as the book series of 2000 Years of Christ's Power by Nick Needham. So, if you're interested in church history, those are some good places to start, I would say, for two very different reasons. One of just a simple survey, and one to kind of dig a bit deeper.
Mhm.
So I dig those, but you know what else I dig in addition to reading and watching and listening to things? I dig video games. We're a video game podcast. We talk
I
video
dig
games
video
a
games.
little bit.
I
I'm a
dig
golden
music.
god. Yes, yes, exactly.
I'm glad that we went to the same, like, we were just
Oh, dude.
like,
Yeah, I love it. I dig music. Yeah, okay. And I am a golden god. Yes. And I'm on drugs.
No, 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 no.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. This
Yeah.
is I'm quoting Almost Famous. I do not believe that I am I deified in any way. Anyways,
Way,
yeah,
shape, or
let's
form.
talk some video games. Let's talk some video games.
Yeah.
What have you been playing, Nate?
Okay. So I gotta pull up my notes. Such good radio. Such good
Hmm.
radio. This
Yep.
is Nate talking super pretty. Um
I like that.
okay. So
We
I
should clip that.
think
Such good
uh,
radio. Such good
yeah,
radio. Sounds
mm,
like this is Halloween. This is Halloween. Anyways.
yeah. Yeah, I've been making a lot of like nonsense songs lately for
Mm.
Byron. We
Yep.
got the
It is great
yeah,
for kids. I get it.
yeah.
Yep.
Um,
I love
so
hearing my 4-year-old sing in the shower. It's hilarious, and I love it so much. Endearing. But
yeah, it's yeah, but
anyways.
yeah, I have lots of like dumb songs, and I just kind of I sing them for Byron to like
Yep.
kind of it's funny because sometimes he'll parrot him. Um,
Yeah.
like that tonight I was like, I know this is like a weird aside, but I was like, your medicine, you need to take your medicine, your medicine. And once you get it in, you can have your B. And that's his binky. And
Mhm.
he goes, B, like in his little boy. So his is
Yep.
a lot higher and squeakier kind of, but
Right.
it was super cute.
Yeah.
Um,
It's awesome.
so yes. Anyways, as of last recording, just
Mhm.
sort of according to our notes, I was at -2.
'Kay.
Since then, I beat Dishonored, the collector's edition,
'Kay.
so that would put me at -3. I did pick
Mhm.
up the Grim Grimoire Once More edition.
Okay.
so that would put me at +1. Then I turned around and I beat Banner Saga, and that got me another -1, so I'm down to -3
Nice.
again. But I've also, for this show, I rolled credits on Mega Man X. So there's an additional
Okay.
-1. And the only thing that I'm really playing with any consistency, so I am playing Banner Saga 2, but
Mhm.
I really want to zero in on Astrobot. I want to beat it and I want to get the platinum on that. But the
Oh,
way
wow.
my current beatdown score, well, and the platinum on how long to beat is like maybe 15 hours. So it's not like
Oh,
this
okay.
massive
Okay.
undertaking.
Yeah.
Um, but so my current total beatdown standing is -4.
Nice.
So yeah,
Nice.
I
Yeah.
feel pretty good about those things.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. 4 months in, -4. I like it. Makes sense to me. Uh,
but see, if I'm gonna, because like my whole thing is I need to hit -10. And
right.
I know that this
Yeah.
month, like probably this month, I really want to get that Expedition 33.
Okay.
Um, mm, but too many. There's
Gotta
too
save
many
up.
games, Josh. Too
Yeah.
many games. Because
It's true.
also, metaphor. Metaphor is just
Mhm.
like eyeballing me. It's like we have
Play
unfinished business.
me.
We have unfinished business, sir.
Play me. Yeah, I get it.
But yeah,
I get it.
current score sitting at -4. And just as like we're gonna do an episode on Dishonored,
Mhm.
that's a patron pick. We're gonna do an episode on Banner Saga, that's a
Mhm.
patron pick. So I'm
Mhm.
just gonna say I had a good time with it. I'm looking forward to doing that episode. Banner Saga, um, same thing, patron pick. We're gonna do
Mhm.
an episode on it. I enjoyed my time with it. I'm looking forward to doing an episode on it. Mega Man X, well, that's not a patron pick, but that's a list game, and we're going to be talking about it here shortly. So,
Mhm.
yes, out of the games that I've beaten, I don't really. Well, I'm saving those thoughts for the appropriate times. So,
Yeah. Gotcha. Gotcha. Well, I don't know if there's an echo in here, but what I have to talk about is very similar. So, I did start playing Dishonored. I unfortunately, didn't get too far in the game for some weird. We talked about it a little bit before we started recording, but man, I don't know if it's the laptop that I'm playing on, the smooth frame rates, if I'm just too twitchy or if I'm just getting old, or a combination of all of these things, because it makes me. I've noticed that I get a little nauseous playing
mm,
some of these high frame rate, smooth playing, more twitchy games, first person games on my laptop. So I noticed it a bit with Talos Principle, um, slightly, but not too much with Titanfall 2. That's what it was. So maybe it's the way that I'm playing it. Maybe I'm just not in the right headspace, something like that. So it's been harder to make progress in that game, is all that I'm saying. The last time I sat down to play it, I had a headache for like most of the day, and it just like compounded that. So unfortunately, even though I wanted to continue, I didn't. I actually wanted to stop more than I wanted to continue, just because the throbbing pain in my head, you know. So that was annoying. But yeah, so I'm early
maybe you
on in
need to
that
get
game.
those like cool, super cool, like amber colored gamer glasses.
That's true. I could do that, just go full gamer all the way. Make sure everything is RGB lighting up in my face while I'm playing it. Um,
No,
and
no, they
get
have
a
those
full on
glasses
headset.
that are supposed to like protect your eyes from the blue light. Maybe,
Okay. That I mean, maybe that
maybe.
could be. I'm gonna test it out a little bit longer, see if it's just like if I've just been playing at the wrong times or something like that, and we'll go from there. Because I mean, obviously, I am gonna finish the game. I was gonna say I do want to finish the game. Yes, it's gonna happen. I just need to sit down and make the time for it. And because of events, like going out of town and all that, and the recovery and all
Hmm.
that, just haven't had as much time to play that game. So
Hmm.
that's Dishonored. The other game that I have been playing, that I started recently, that I've been playing on my Switch, is the Banner Saga, just like you said. And man, okay, sometimes there are these games that start off and you're like, I don't know, mean, this is just okay, and they get better as you
Yeah.
go on. Sometimes there's a game where 5 minutes into the game, you're like, "Ooh, this is right up my alley." The Banner Saga fits into the latter camp where, man, the art style, so cool.
Yeah.
It's great hand-drawn art. Just the Viking setting is so cool.
Mhm.
Tactical RPG feels good. I'm still early on in the game. And then, you're playing through the story and your decisions actually matter and people die and things like that. So even though I'm early on, I'm like, man, this is like, and this is only, an indie studio that made this. Like, I like this a lot.
Yeah.
And the fact that the whole story is split up into 3 different parts, I like that too, because you can just take the first chunk of it, the first 15 hours or whatever the first game is, and it doesn't feel like a monumental task. So I'm only, maybe a couple hours in, but for
They're
right now, it's firing on all cylinders.
they are not long. Like, how long to
Mhm.
beat, I think, has it like 10 to 12 hours, something like that.
Okay. Yeah.
Um, the one sort of like bit of advice, and it's like at one point in time, like I played it on normal for most of the game,
Mhm.
but there's that because it well, and I don't because I want to save most of this for, but like
Sure. Yeah.
if it gets to be like just too much to keep up, because like it
Sure.
can get pretty like intense. There was a
Mhm.
point in the game where I was like, no, we're just like just
Yep.
we're going down to easy. I don't think there's any shame in it. Like, cause like that game can get kind of like hardcore.
Okay. Okay. Good to
Like,
know.
but yeah, yeah,
I will
I
say the
actually
story
took a
prepares you
replay.
for
Well,
it.
yeah. Well, and there is the way I want to say this, there's a cohesion between the narrative and the gameplay experience that like they enmesh beautifully.
Mhm.
Like,
Mhm.
um and that is a bit of a triumph. Um but yeah. But
Yeah.
yeah. They're
It's
not long, they're not super long games.
right.
They're
Yeah.
I think I did run it by John, the patron who picked that, and I said, "Did you
Mhm.
just want to do the first one, or did you want to do all three?" And he's like, "Hey, we could do all three, or we could just do the first one." So I'm running because like I had, I guess this is sort of spoilers, but I had such a good time with the first one that I was like,
Mhm.
I really like this because this is technically a replay. I played this years
Oh, okay.
ago, so this one
Okay.
I did take a replay point on. Um,
Gotcha.
but I was like, "Oh, yeah, I forgot, like, how sick this game is." Like,
Gotcha. Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
really good.
Had you played through multiple parts or just the first part?
Just the original Banner Saga. Like, when I played
Okay.
through it,
Cool.
Banner Saga 2 and 3 had not come out yet.
Gotcha.
Like, and so I played it, like, when it first came out, and I remember really liking it, and being able to go back to it, I was like I get, yeah, sort of, yeah, the spoilery part of, like, the backlog report stuff, and again, I want to save the really full context thoughts for each one of those games.
Sure.
I was delighted to go back to both of these games. I was like,
Awesome.
"Oh, this is so much fun." Like,
Yeah. So cool.
so
Sweet.
yeah, yeah.
Well, that's good to hear because I'm getting some of those feels in the very beginning of the game. So I'm glad to hear that it continues through, and I'm gonna have a good time with it. You had mentioned, hey, you should maybe look into this one, and I was like, oh, you know what? That's hitting. That sounds so good because I finished up the game that I had been playing on Switch for quite a while now. Um, that is Pokemon Legends Arceus.
That's one I
Uh,
need to acquire
yeah.
by hook or crook.
And so how long to beat has it at, like, I think it's like 20 something, like low 20 hours. And I probably put in 25 to 30 hours at least. So I was a little bummed that, like, oh, yeah, I only take 1 point for this. I only get a -1, because it feels like a much more substantial game.
Mhm.
Also, when you finish the game, when you roll credits on the game, the original mystery of the game has not been addressed. I will put it that way. So I did some Googling, like, oh, did I miss something? Like, what's going on here? And no, you need to complete the game, which includes catching every Pokemon
You
and
got to catch
training
them
them
all.
up. And yes, you have to catch them all and get them all to like, get your Pokedex. So you have to catch enough of them and do different things with with the Pokemon in order to fill out your Pokedex completely. Because you get your Pokedex entry actually gains levels for each Pokemon, so you can get it up to 10 for each Pokemon, and you have to do that in order to get the actual ending of the game. Um, and needless to say, I did not do that. I do think the game was fun enough that, hey, maybe I like the idea of chipping away at it. Um, Maybe after I chip away more at my backlog, I'll go back to the
Mm.
game and do that. Who knows? Because that just seems like a monumental undertaking. Although the game is kind of like calm enough that just taking it, piece by piece actually sounds like a good time. So I enjoyed myself quite a bit with that game. It is a patron pick, so we will be talking about that later. So don't want to go into too much detail, except to say that I did really enjoy the take on the series that this game brings. I really like the changes that it makes in the focus being around exploration and discovering new Pokemon, and really kind of digging into the whole Pokedex entry thing of the Pokemon while still having the battles there, and with some quality of life stuff there within the battles too. So I really enjoyed it. I think this is a great iteration. Like, frankly, if this was what mainline Pokemon was, I wouldn't bat an eye. Like, I think this is a great evolution of the formula, no pun intended. So I liked the game quite a bit, but details will be forthcoming when we do that episode. Anyways, I do get a negative point for that, bringing me to a total of -5 for the year so far. That's where I'm at. But
Sick.
yeah. Mhm.
Sick. Yeah.
Good
No.
times, man.
But and for listeners, if you're new and you're like, what are these numbers that they keep referencing? Um,
Mm.
there's a meta that we run, and of course, like if you've been listening to us for any amount of time, you're probably aware of this. But again, for the new and the uninitiated, there's a meta
Hmm.
that's called the Backlog Beatdown. The TLDR is you buy games, you add points, you play the games you already own, you prioritize those, you take away points. You want a low score, even verging into
Mhm.
the negatives. Think about it as like if you have a big old pile, big old spreadsheet, and all the games that are on your backlog are on there. You're ticking them off that sheet. Um,
Mm.
so there's that. If you would like a full rule set, that's available on our Discord or in our Discord, you can email us, whatever, and we can get that to you. No problems. But and it goes without saying that the official app of the Backlog Beatdown is none other than the GG app developed by our friend Charles Watson. We like what he's doing over there, and we think you ought to check it out. He's got there's a free version, and then if you like what he's doing
Mm.
and you want a little bit more of a feature rich version, for what is it, like $5 a month, I think. I
Yeah.
think, yeah, it's
Mhm.
$5 a month or $50 a year or something like that. You can get sort of, again, a more feature rich version of the app. Uh, but other things that you might like and might want to throw money, it's us, not to pander too hard here, not to sort of dip into the money please territory. But if you like what we're doing here and you want to go a little bit above and beyond, you've done the rating and the reviewing, you've done the sharing and the caring, and again, you're just looking for a way to maybe partner with us or sort of like throw us a few bones because you like what we're doing here, we have a Patreon like so many other podcasts out there. It is, and we do want you to maybe think of the Patreon as a bit more than a glorified tip jar, but barely. In addition to sort of showing us how much you like giving us a way of sort of seeing your appreciation of our labor of love here. um, each patron gets early and uncut access to each and every episode. They have a
Mhm.
private video feed. They have more access to us through the Patreon and the Discord. Yeah. the Discord. Nate talk pretty today? No. Geez, wow. It's getting late. I'm getting tired, and this is gonna get weird. In addition to the early and kind of uncut access to each and every episode, there's a Patreon exclusive podcast called the Bro Hang. Sometimes we refer to it as Between Two Bros. You know, but we just, it tends to be a little more stream of consciousness, etc. But yeah, and as an additional perk, each and every patron gets to suggest a game and or topic. Well, no, game or topic, not and or. You don't get to do both. You get to
Yes.
do one or the other.
Yeah.
Again, I'm
Don't get
tired.
greedy. Come on.
Don't get greedy. I mean, like, you could pitch us topics, and if it's really good one, we might do it anyways.
Oh, for
But
sure. Yeah.
yeah, but they get to nominate a game or a topic for us to do an episode on. Like I said, that's the whole patron pick thing that we were mentioning. But yeah, so if you have any interest in that, the link is in our link tree, in the show notes here. But all that being said, we have some excuse me, we have some friends over at the Playwell Network. In fact, we like them so much we partner with them. We like what they're doing. We like what they have to say, and we think you should check some of their stuff out. So here's a word from one of them.
Sit down, shut up, and listen to this.
No, you can't make me. I hate sitting down. But what is this magic I'm hearing?
Huh? Never heard it, you say? That be nothing new under the porch. It sure is wacky, kind of life-changing, and hardly worth taking serious. I don't really know how to describe it. Wait, are you crying?
I call it beautiful.
You got that right, kid. Now you stand there and listen to the beautiful, wacky, and life-changing show on video games, satire, and theology, or I'm gonna keep on repeating myself and this ad won't end.
I'll never stop listening to it.
Okay, well, your call. Make sure to subscribe and whatever. My job is done. I'm out of here.
And we're back.
Hey, we're back.
We are back. Yeah. So folks, tonight, it's tonight for us. Actually, it's very early morning for us at the time of recording. But for you guys, it could be a plurality of times. You could be watching this in the morning.
Ooh.
You could be watching this early afternoon, mid-evening. I don't know. Whatever, or listening to this whenever. So whatever strikes your fancy whenever you're listening to this. I hope you're doing well, first off. Hope you're happy, healthy, whole, all those things. And if you aren't, well, sorry. But we're going to be talking about Mega Man X. And like Josh has said, this is sort of a game that was on our top 100 list and has been on our top 100 list. I don't know if from the get-go, but I imagine it's been in, I imagine it has been on our list for quite some time.
Yeah.
And it's a game that, and we'll get into this, but it is a game that I was familiar with, but until recently, I had never played from stem to stern. I had never beaten it. And so when Josh, we were kind of like bouncing some topics around, we're like, hey, what can we do? Show stuff. And Josh was like, hey, have you ever played Mega Man X? And I said, I have played it. I haven't beaten it. I'm going to need to play through it. And so I sat down over the course of about a week, probably 3 or 4 sessions, and I sat down and I played it and I beat it. And it was delightful. Delightful. Now, Josh, in our show notes, I do need to, you say, why is this one of the best games ever made? Okay. And I'm glad that there's that caveat that it is one of the best games. And it is. It's number 13 on our list, like you said earlier. And so that means that arguably it is unassailably one of the best games of all time. It is not the best game of all time.
Yeah, I do like that. Yeah, I meant to mention something, but I didn't.
Well, but it is not the GOAT, but it is one of the boats.
Mm. Mm.
I'm feeling
There
awfully
you go.
clever. Um,
Goats on a boat.
but yes. So this is you kind of pitch this.
Uh-huh.
So let's get into it.
Okay. Well, first of all, I have to say that I was very surprised to find out that you have never beaten this game. Because this is one of the games that is not and has not been on my backlog for a very, very long time. I did actually beat this game as a teenager. And it holds a special place in my heart. For a number of reasons that we will be discussing today. But I love. I want to say it was a couple years ago. I did this as my replay game, and man, I think I think it holds up. I think it's just as good today as it was when I first played it. It was certainly a gem that it's one of those things like, oh yeah, it looks cool, but I didn't realize at the time that young Josh was playing one of his favorite games. You mentioned how this is number 13, and how you thought that this has been on our top 100 list, and I believe it has since the very beginning, because this game, I know at least the last time that I put together a top 10 list personally, has been in my top
Makes it
10
into your top 10.
games. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I absolutely love this game. We can talk about it. Typically for these types of episodes, when we focus on a
Mhm.
single game, we do like to give what we call baggage. Now, that has a negative connotation, but really all that we mean by that is, what is our history with the game? And so I've already kind of mentioned that. And just to give a little bit more context, a little bit more fullness to young Josh, we didn't have very much money growing up. We didn't spend very much money, especially on frivolities like video games. And in Mega Man X was one of the few games that we could go to our local mom and pop video game shop and spend, I don't know, $10-15 to pick up the Super Nintendo cartridge for it. So this was one, again, that is near and dear to my heart, that we owned even very young,
Mm.
because it was a cheap cart, and the inside is just absolute gold. So I've played it, tons and tons of times over the years. But that's my baggage, is I've had it for, I want to say, as long as I can remember, but basically early days of Super Nintendo for me. We've had Mega Man X, and I go back to it all the time. So, how about you? What's your history since you just now finished
Oh,
the game?
well, the thing is, like, I had history with Mega Man 2 and 3, specifically,
Okay,
more
yeah.
specifically, like way more history with 2 than 3. But so I had played Mega Man, and it was like one of those things where it's like, I was kind of like thinking back, and I'm like, did I really like these games, or was like I didn't have anything else to
Oh,
play? And
okay, yeah,
I think I did like them.
yeah,
But, like, as far as X went, like, we never had a Super Nintendo, so a lot of my Super Nintendo sort of history comes from, basically I was a dirty pirate, and I just emulated the crap out of everything. And
sure.
so I think I'm pretty sure that I tried to play Mega Man X on, to emulate Mega Man X at one point in time. And
Were
just
you
playing
playing
it
on a
on,
keyboard?
yeah, not
Oh, that
ideal.
sounds terrible.
Um, and so, like, it was kind of like one of those things where I bounced off. Like, it wasn't so, like, playing RPGs on a keyboard,
Yeah,
not such a big deal.
yeah, doable
Um,
for sure.
yeah, totally doable. And then years later, and I had friends who had Super Nintendos, and in particular, like, this memory, or Mega Man X, is associated with an old high school friend of mine, Chris Perot, and just for some reason I have this picture, and I don't know where we were, but he was playing one of the Mega Man X games, and I just thought it was like the coolest looking thing I've ever seen. It might have
Mhm,
been original X. Um, it might have been one of the later installments, but
sure.
because I think it had to have been a later installment, because I think he was playing as Zero, and
Okay, that would have been 3.
okay, so um but it was like one of those things where I was familiar with the game, like I had seen it, but I just never had an opportunity to play it. And a few years ago, I bought the Mega Man X Legacy Collection, like
Yeah.
and with the intent to sort of like fill in some of those gaps. I think actually to address the fact that I had never played, like never beaten X. And like I said, I had played it. I'm fairly certain because like there were parts where I was playing. I was like, oh, I do remember this. So, but I never beaten it. And so, yeah, it was kind of like, it was just like one of those things. I never owned it. My sort of like my key SNES sort of exposure was via emulation. And again, like we've just like, even the sound you made when you were like, were you playing on keyboard? And I went, yes. And you're like, ooh,
Yeah.
as unfortunate. And that's pretty much, so it's like coming to this and playing it on a controller. And I'm like, oh, okay. Now I do have to sort of like full disclosure, like on the Legacy Collection, you can sort of like turn on the rookie Maverick mode or whatever, rookie hunter mode, which I
Okay.
think sort of turns down some of the damage from enemies
Okay.
that they take, or that you take from them. So it kind of like makes things easier, but
Yeah.
not especially. Like,
Okay.
the game is still kind of tough up until the point where it isn't. And that's the sort of thing is like, I also just was like, what's the optimal boss order? And
Sure.
I was just like, so I started with Chill Penguin,
Okay.
and
Yep.
then Spark Mandrill, I think. Um, then who do you do? Then the armadillo,
Armored armadillo. Yep.
and then is it? I think the octopus next.
Is it?
Um,
That sounds
that's
right.
there were like two. They were like these are like sort of the most optimal paths. Like you can start
Sure.
here and start here, but yeah, I I'd never beaten it before that, and then and I've got to be honest too. Like I was sort of on the Sigma levels at the very end of the game, and that platforming was giving. There were like the one section, especially in Sigma 1, right towards the end of that, there's the little hovering platforms, like, and they
Yeah.
kind of move back and forth, and then those dudes come out of nowhere and sort of like I was ready to scream. Like I was like, get away from me. And also I didn't know that like you could I read a couple things afterward. They're like, yeah, you can actually just jump up the wall. If you they're like, you can just wall jump up to that platform if you want to. I
Okay.
was like, oh, well, now I feel stupid. But they were also like, but like the power up. So like when you the bubble, or you can use the chameleon sting to like camouflage yourself.
Yep.
Um, I was like,
It comes in handy.
I feel super dumb. Um, so I like full disclosure, I'm probably gonna play this again. Just
Okay.
like
Okay.
now that I have the knowledge. But the other thing is like I got all the unlockables, so I did get the
Yeah.
Hadouken,
Nice. Nice. Okay. You
um,
did end up doing that. Yeah.
which is like so dumb because it only spawns like it doesn't spawn every time. It's like it spawns
Right.
every once in a while, and you have to make that jump. Because there was one time I saw like the little capsule spawned, and I was like sick, and then like I went to do the jump, and like how like at that part those little penguin dudes are flying or whatever. One of them clipped me, and he threw off my jump. And then when I
Yep.
was like, oh, I was like trying to like jump back up there because you can kind of like jump out and jump like it wasn't there anymore. I was
Yeah. Oh man.
disgusted. Um,
Yep.
but yeah, so I got everything. I beat all the bosses. I did a few of the optional things, like you can cut off the elephant's trunk if you have
Okay.
the boomer Kerrang. Like,
Really?
yeah, you
Oh,
can
that's
cut off his
interesting.
trunk, and it gets rid of his fireball attack. Um, you can cut off the
Okay.
octopus's tentacles, and that
Yeah.
eliminates most of his attacks. Um, Yeah, there's all sorts of like wild stuff. That game is just wild, like
Mhm.
flat
Mhm.
out. Like it is just like so wild. But like to sort of stick to the thing, like the sort of we're talking about baggage. I I had seen it. I was aware of it. I always thought it looked cool. Like full disclosure, I always thought X and Zero were just like so cool. Like
Yeah.
just the
Yeah.
coolest character models, especially like when like Armored X, like where you get like all the armored upgrades and he's got like the extra white and yellow. I
Mhm.
was like, oh,
Yeah.
just like I love the character designs, like just
Mhm.
so I was thought like it's probably just visually my favorite Mega Man.
Yeah. Yeah, and there is an element to that. I think they're trying to go for a little more of like the teenage edginess with Mega Man X.
Oh, it
I do,
screams 90s edge.
yeah. I don't think it goes too far into like cringiness.
No, no.
Uh, but it definitely like yeah, you can see it in the designs and things like that. Especially of the main characters and some of the angst that they have. But also it's story wise, uh, it's darker than it seems because it's basically like yeah, the world's gone to crap, but you're holding the line,
Have you
kind of a
ever
thing.
seen there's like an animated short that explains like the things that lead up to that?
No, I haven't.
Okay,
Not
do you own the Legacy collection?
no, I have a collection on PS2.
Okay.
But I don't have the Legacy collection of the X games,
Because
just the
they
originals.
have it was like sort of like it was an animated short that was
Okay.
included in one of the games that sort of like sets
Okay.
the stage for everything that shows because and what's so wild is that I was grew up where Wily was the bad guy.
Right.
And then it's like, who is this Sigma?
Yep.
And then like sort of like I don't even understand like I'm just gonna be honest too, like I don't understand like the connection. Like I know that they're both, but like who is like is Mega Man X just like Mega Man like sort of brought back like for much further in the future, or is it just like is it something different? And
Yeah, I honestly don't remember that. The only connection that I knew of was Dr. Light, who shows up in when to give you the upgrades. So it's like he was thinking long term, if that makes
but
sense. But I
it
don't know.
implies that there is like a significant amount of time between the
Right.
original Mega Man
Right.
games. Like they're connected, but I don't know if X is like original Mega Man who's like undergone some fairly serious upgrades, or if he's like
Hmm.
sort of like a second robot. Like I'm sure that we could, if we wanted to get super nerdy about it, we could like go down wiki holes, but we don't need to.
Yeah.
That's not why we're here. This is not a lore podcast or a lore episode on Mega Man X.
Hmm.
Um, that might make an interesting bite size sometime. Perhaps.
Yeah, quite possibly.
I
I
mean,
frankly, I haven't played enough games in the series to know that. I've played the first 3. I don't believe I've played a little bit. I've dabbled a little bit in 4, which I've heard is one of the best, but I didn't finish it, and I don't think I've
mm,
touched any of the other ones. Um, yeah.
but
Anyways,
yeah, Mega Man X. That's my baggage. That
okay.
I always thought it looked cool, and it turns out it is pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, dude, maybe it's the nostalgia talking. I don't know. I tend to disagree with that. But you're talking about even the designs of these characters. I love their sprites. I think they look
Mhm.
so cool. Like X just looks cool when he's walking. Like,
One, yeah, the attention to animation, like even so, like now,
hmm
granted, I don't know how much, like how many improvements because they're like that's the one thing I did notice is like there's different like models that you can use and sort of like filters you can apply to where it gets like a lot more
okay, yeah,
pixelated, and then you can do sort of like a weird interlacing kind of flicker thing.
sure,
Um, but like the default model that they show on the screen is gorgeous. It's definitely not a 16-bit model. Like they are not
okay,
rendering that game in
okay,
16 bits.
yeah,
Like like it's still pixel art, but it's like much higher res, and
Yeah.
it is yeah, it's really clean. It's
Hmm.
really it's yeah, just it's really just beautifully animated.
Hmm. Hmm.
So
That's cool. That's cool. Then yeah, I'll need to see what if any changes are done there for the collection. Can't think of what it's called, but anyways, that X collection for sure. One thing I did want to bring up, and one thing that I think is awesome about this game, and it's subtle. It's subtle in that especially nowadays, you kind of already know the language of video games. But Mega Man X, it drops you kind of in media res in the game itself, but it does the same thing as Super Mario Brothers, the original, in that it teaches you how to play in its first, in just the beginning, in its opening. And it teaches you not by saying, "Hey, press S to or press A to jump or press B to jump or whatever." Not that you should, shoot at this enemy. Instead, it sends an enemy your way. And so, what are you going to do? Are you going to jump over it? Are you going to shoot it? You get to decide, and you keep running because there's only one way to go. And then there's a flying enemy. So, how are you going to deal with that? And then there are enemies that take out some of the floor. Then there's a huge wasp-looking enemy that you have to shoot at and take out. But then once it's destroyed, it falls down and it comes crashing down. So the only way that you can get back up is by going over to the wall and wall jumping. So it teaches you that you have all of these things at your
mm-hmm.
disposal just simply by playing the game. It doesn't need a tutorial. Yep. What's up?
Is the charge beam is that default? I couldn't, or is that unlocked?
Yeah. Yeah. No. You do have a way of just charging right off the bat. Yes.
Okay.
And it
It's the
doesn't tell you
upgrades are
how.
unlocked.
Right.
But it doesn't tell
Especially
you
that
that you
fourth.
can do that.
But when Zero shows up at the end of that tutorial level, he charges up.
Yeah.
So it's hinting at all these things for sure. Even if you didn't know, right off the bat that you could do that. There's a video by a guy. He's very popular, Ego Raptor. He uses lots of language, so just warn you of that. But he goes into detail on this on his series Sequelitis. That's probably like 15 years old at this point. But he has an episode on Mega Man X and the opening level and how it teaches you how to play. So this has been the abbreviated version of that, but that's a great video. But again, lots of profanity because that's just how he talks.
Yeah, it's a really elegant tutorial level where
Mm-hmm.
it's like, I mean, you could be just as effective by saying, "Hey, press," I played it on PlayStation. I think press X to jump.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I think it is sort of like in eschewing all that. It is sort of, it's just a lot cleaner.
Yeah.
It's like you're gonna figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
And if you
Mm-hmm.
don't, X is gonna die.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And it
So.
just, it feels so good. So, I think that's one of the really great things about this game. One of the things that it does really well. Just we don't really have time to go into a ton of detail. I think overall the different levels are designed really well. They
Yeah.
all feel unique. I think of something like the, I can't think of his name, but the eagle. In
Storm
Eagle. There you go. Storm Eagle.
Yeah.
And how a lot of his level is it's very open. There's a very big chance that you could just fall and die because you can't see the bottom often. You're up in the air and you really get a feeling that you're up in the air. And then, the versus the octopus who's underwater. And so you have to, all that changes all your physics while you're underwater. You're a robot, so you don't have to breathe or anything like that. But it changes. And even what Boomer Quanger, which is this funny, beetle thing, his level, it almost feels like you're sneaking through these different areas. Man, I just think the environments are done so well, along with this distinctive art style and along with the I think really great presentation. Each level, just by its level design, feels different and it feels really good. And look, the original Mega Man games did this to some extent, but I
Mhm.
think this one does it even better. Granted, it opens up the Super Nintendo rather than the original Nintendo, but I think just the distinctiveness. I think also Armored Armadillo, his stage where you're going through mines, through
Yeah.
caves. It feels just so distinct. You know what level and who you're going to face, who the boss is for each level, very
Yeah.
distinctively. So,
Yeah, pro tip, if you want to farm extra lives,
mm-hmm,
there's a weird bat in Armored Armadillo's stage that you has a significantly higher drop rate for extra lives.
mm-hmm,
So just, but I think the other thing in talking about the levels, right, and not to get to, is like I just love the interconnectedness.
mm-hmm.
So again, I did like a play
Yeah.
order, but I had done like I did sort of just do like a cold jump in at one point in time,
Okay.
where I just like I picked a couple levels and played,
Yeah.
and one of the levels I picked was Spark Mandrills, but
Okay.
I hadn't done Chill Penguin yet.
Okay.
And so, like, there was like lava all over the floor. Or no, wait. No, there wasn't.
Electricity surging through. Oh, are you
Yeah.
talking about the mammoth stage?
No, yeah, I did the mammoth stage and there was like all the lava on the floor or whatever.
Yes. Yeah.
And then, but like, so like the thing that I thought was really clever. Okay, one is that the weapons have actual like implications in game, not just
Right.
like they actually do have like use cases, like the the boomer coangers, like boomerang thing you can actually use to grab certain power-ups and items.
Yep.
um so I
Yep.
thought that was cool, but like also when you defeat a boss, like that stage has a direct impact on another stage.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you defeat Chill Penguin, that that cools down the lava and flame mammoths. I
Yep.
think it's flame mammoth.
Yep.
His it cools the lava, so then and that opens up like different upgrades and power ups and all that stuff too. And
Right.
then like even like you so like you brought up Storm Eagle, and like you have to like you're basically like climbing through this airport kind of like control tower stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and you fight him on a ship. Like you basically like jump onto his like ship, and
Mm-hmm.
you sabotage that, but then you guys are like fighting on that. And when you wreck that, like when you defeat him, you
Mm-hmm.
wreck that ship, and that has an impact on, oh, daggone it, whose level does that affect? But the point is, I think that that affects Armor Octopus. Um,
Okay.
I think maybe, but anyways, there's like all this like really kind of cool interconnectedness
Right.
that they sort of laid it. And like the other thing is like the levels are well designed and they each have a distinct feel, but they're pretty compact. Like
Yeah.
if you're coming in like those first few runs are going to be pretty tough, but like dude, it
Mm-hmm.
was getting to the point where I was like beating like levels in 5 minutes easy.
Yeah.
Like I was like, man, I know exactly where I'm going, and what I need to do, and it's like you
Mm-hmm.
could just sort of like rip right through it. And I kind of love that, even just like the compact, like the shortness of it. It was like
Yeah.
it was like we don't need to throw tons and tons of stuff at you. Like here's a series of challenges.
Mm-hmm.
And anyways, but yeah, like the level, like I thought that was a really cool touch. Like I said, the interconnectedness of the like the levels, and it's like, oh
Right.
hey, it's not just like, hey, you defeat this boss, you get his weapon, and that gives you sort of like a like that makes it easier to take on X. But it's
Mm-hmm.
like, but it's not just that. It's like, yeah,
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty sick. IMO.
Yes. Yeah, and like you said, it does open up some different areas, not necessarily full paths, but it does open up other upgrades
Mm-hmm.
and other things that you can get throughout the game. So throughout this game, you start off as basic Mega Man X with his X Buster, and you can charge up, but you can find upgrades which are like basically things that Dr. Light has hidden around, and I don't remember why in terms of story. but he's got, so an upgraded helmet, which protects you from falling stuff. It also makes it so that you take less damage. You're
You
upgraded.
can also break, like if there's certain
That's
bricks
right.
that you can jump into that will break.
Yep. Yep.
Mm.
Upgraded arms, which lets you charge your buster even farther,
Mm.
and will allow you to supercharge any of your boss weapons, which is
Mm.
really cool. So they have a secondary effect. You just need to charge it for quite a while in order for it to use that effect. You've got upgraded legs, which allow you to dash, which is fantastic. And when you said that you're playing this on PC, with a keyboard, that I remember so distinctly as a kid, like rolling the controller
Yep.
in order to dash into a jump. And that's how I'd get around in this game so often.
I started using almost like sort of a claw
Yeah.
esque.
Yep.
Like, because it just became easier for me to go like sort of like flick my pointer, middle, and ring finger over. Yeah. Like it
Yeah.
was easier for me to like do that, or like even sort of like this, where it's like I kind of
Okay.
like sort of, yeah. But yeah.
And there was, I believe, I hope I'm not misremembering on this, but I believe in the original Super Nintendo game, so any version now, but I believe in the original that you could actually remap the buttons if you wanted to, because I remember being able to push the R button to dash if I wanted to, which made it a lot easier as well. It means that you can't scroll through the boss weapons with
But
at
you
least
just do
not
that
with the
through the
R.
pause menu.
Yeah, right. That's what I typically do. You
Dude,
could
like
also do it
scrolling through
with
the
L.
weapons, I like actually was always just like more of a problem than anything else. Like it's like, oh, I need this one. Ooh. I was like, just pause menu.
Yep.
Like, yeah, no,
I agree.
that is,
I agree.
huh.
So
if when I play it again, I'm gonna check into that.
Try it out. See if I'm just making that up. I know I remapped some controls in Chrono Trigger, but I'm almost certain. But you know how it's one of those like almost certain memories that you're like, maybe I'm making this up.
Maybe this
but I'm pretty sure I'm not.
And yeah, there is the secret upgrade too. Like after you get, because you can upgrade your armor, and after you get all 4 upgrades, and you get all the heart tanks, and you get all the E tanks, you can get, there's a super secret upgrade that you can unlock, where you can unlock a Hadouken, and he literally just Mega Man shoots like a little fireball.
Yeah, and it was basically a joke, or it's an Easter egg, is what it is.
Yeah,
like I said, you can.
It's not a bad weapon though.
No, it's not. But you can only use it with full life, so you don't have much of a chance of doing. Like it's really fun because it kills anything in one hit, including bosses. So it's really fun to get up to Sigma and use it, and or what I would do is get up to his dog. If you use Hadouken on the dog,
I did not
which
know
is
this.
Hilarious, because as soon as he comes on the screen, you just Hadouken and then it blows up.
Dude, okay,
which is really
this changes everything, and I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna Hadouken stuff now.
Yeah,
because like I had 4 E tanks and they were full, so it's like full health is like not that. It's not that big an ask.
It definitely gives you more chances, but then it also has to make contact. So it's not the most useful thing. It's just fun. And it's one of those things where if you don't know how to unlock it, it's kind of one of those playground rumor type things, because no one in their right mind would have figured this out.
And
it's not knowing.
It's not consistent. It's like you will, like, it does not spawn every time.
What I had always read was that you have to go to the area where it is, which means for anyone who hasn't played the game, you basically have to overshoot a jump towards the end of a level. You have to get to the top of a ledge.
Armadillo's level.
You have to get to the top of that ledge, and you have to jump off and kill yourself. I believe it's 3 times. It could be 5 times. And then the next
anywhere
time
between 3 or 5 times. Yeah.
Okay. There you go. So you have to consistently do that multiple times. It's never like just going to be there without it. So even if you
Yeah, but
go to that
I think
ledge,
even like I said, the one time I found it and I was like,
uh-huh,
yeah, and I was like all excited, and then like one of those stupid bird things sniped me,
right,
and he
it
knocked
went
me
away.
off, and I went down, like I just fell into the ledge below, and I went to
Right.
hop back up, and it wasn't there.
Yeah.
Um,
That's yeah, that's frustrating.
so yeah,
But it is this game was made by Capcom. Of course, Street Fighter 2 is, the big hotness at the time, and so they threw it in there and gave Mega Man X a Hadouken.
and
And that's right, when Light shows up, when Dr. Light shows up,
he's
the
got
the
the headband.
hologram, he has the headband.
I
And I
think he
think he's
might even.
wearing a karate gi, right?
Yes, I was gonna say I
Yeah.
think he's wearing a karate gi too. He looks like basically sort of like a chubby bearded um, Ryu or Ken.
Ryu. Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
So,
I think one of the things I do want to talk about though is that this has
mhm.
very like old school like sensibilities, where I
Okay.
do think it is like a little harder than
Okay.
most modern games, and that's where I would like, and that's like, again, it's sort of like the hitboxes. Some of the jumps feel pretty unfair, um,
Okay.
like because it's like specifically there's a segment in Sigma's level that I was thinking about where it's like it's got
Mhm.
like these platforms that are on these square tracks, and because of the way that the enemies work, like if they're not, their spawn point isn't on screen, they respawn. And
Mhm.
so it's like this thing will take you right outside of the enemy spawn window. And so then when
Mhm.
you go to jump, you're jumping back into that, and the enemy, you're basically in the enemy's path.
Mhm.
Um, and so it's like stuff like that. But then you just use the bubble, you use the bubble
Mhm.
to like just sort of get through that stuff. So it wasn't that big a deal. But that is it does sort of, it's not as punishing. Like Mega Man X does not feel as punishing as just default Mega Man, but it is
Right.
still, it's not like, it's not hard. It's not like Dark Souls hard, right?
No.
But there is some difficulty there that
Yeah.
sometimes feels like a little unfair. Like
Mhm.
more of like, it's sort of like that old like sort of arcade, like take your quarters kind of design.
Mhm.
And I don't hate it. I'm just like, I think it's necessary to say like, hey, that's there.
Mhm.
It's like this is part of the DNA of this thing.
Yeah.
And it's not
Yeah.
insurmountable. It's just like it's there.
Right. I think the game gives you so many different options, like because the control is so fluid. I'll put it this way. Okay, original Mega Man is is pixel perfect, so that
Platforming.
you're
Yeah.
able. Yes, yeah. Whereas this one, um, it is still very deliberate, but it is much more fluid, and so you're dashing around, and you can move around in a lot of different ways, and it gives you kind of the keys to kind of do what you want, which allows
Yeah.
for a little bit more exploration to find all these hidden things. It
Yeah.
gives you all these hidden things, so it wants you to kind of to play in that, as opposed to being more strict with what you have to do, which is a great design as well. Forcing you to play the game on its terms. This one I feel like gives you a bit more to play with, that you can
Hmm.
play it a little bit more on your terms.
Well,
Um,
and it sort of rounds off some of those edges, so where it's like
yeah,
it's not as demanding, it's not as precise.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but
I'll tell you, so it's hard for me to see the difficulty because I've been playing it for so long that I know a lot of it already. But I do remember specifically the last time I played it through, the part that I was surprised that I was having trouble with was the spider boss in
oh, he's annoying.
Sigma's area.
He's just
Yeah.
like, because it's like there are times where I'm like I think I'm in the right spot. And he's like,
Uh-huh.
no, I can still get you. And I'm like,
Yep.
but none of your stupid like pathway things are over by me. He's like, I don't care. Like,
It
um,
it made me feel old because I'm like, was my reaction time just way better when I was younger? Like, this guy's giving me trouble. Um, but yeah. And anyways, yeah, it's I know it is overall it's definitely a challenging game, but it's certainly like you can do it. Just
it's,
work
yeah,
at it.
it's not impossible. Like I
Yeah.
did feel like and again, it's like my least favorite part of a game is almost always going to be the platforming. And there
Okay.
were some like, especially like Sigma 1, like the moving platforms, like I because it's right towards the top. There's one where you have to basically dash jump to the next one,
Mhm.
and I missed that a couple times.
Yeah.
And then so sometimes I would fall and I could recover, sometimes I would just die. But like
Right.
working your way up there, and it's not terrible, but it's like those little dudes would just swoop down and be like, "Oh, hey, let me bother you," and get in the way. And I'm like, "Ah!"
Yeah. When you're
That
trying to jump on another platform, yeah, it's
yeah, you're
especially
just like,
frustrating.
"Get away from me."
Yeah.
Um but so yeah, I just, that's one thing that I wanted to throw up there, and I don't think it's a
Yeah.
bad thing. I'm
Mhm.
just saying, like, it's not. It's something to be aware of if you're going to play the
Right.
game. Yeah,
Right.
but
Yeah.
I see in the notes here that you have like best level design or like best boss encounters, and I'm just
Mhm.
going to tell you, I think my favorite. And now I spent the most time in Armored Armadillo's level,
Mhm.
and I think his fight
Yeah.
is my favorite because you hit him with that shock thing, and his armor falls off, and he just kind of like
Yeah.
he's like, "Ugh!"
Yeah.
um, but I think like honestly, I think Storm Eagle's level might be one of my favorites, just because like
Okay.
I love the verticality of that,
Yeah.
and I think it's just
Yeah.
like yeah, it's pretty. I don't like heights in real life, but I did like.
Uh-huh.
I just remember thinking, oh, like this is pretty cool. But like that's the thing though, is they're all good. I mean, Chill Penguins is probably the most bland, and even that's
Sure.
not that. Like there's some interesting wrinkles, like going back with Flame
Yep.
Mammoth's like fireball
Right.
thing,
Yep.
and yeah, I don't know. It's just like,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think Armored Armadillo, and it's not even that the fight's that good. It's just that when you hit him with that shock thing and his armor pops off, and he just kind of like, it's like, oh, dude, no, I got you, punk. I got you.
Uh-huh.
I also
Yeah.
like cutting off the using boomer quangers, boomerangs to cut to that stupid sting chameleon. He's
Yes.
like when you knock him down, then you're like, no, get down here, like get down here, you dirtball.
Yeah, especially because, like, frankly, I think Sting Chameleon is probably one of the hardest main,
Hands down,
regular bosses
hands down.
without that. Like just trying to beat it normally, he's
Mm-hmm.
pretty rough.
Yeah.
So yeah, when he gets hit with that, it just feels so good. I see you, punk.
Oh,
Yeah,
and
it's
he's
great.
just like his movement patterns. Sting chameleon sucks. I
Yeah,
don't like him.
yeah,
It feels
he's
really good
pretty rough.
to beat him.
Hmm. Yeah. So just a couple things to point out with it's really hard for me to say like favorite level or favorite boss. I will say one of the things that just sticks out of my mind as I look at these bosses is I love how when you get up to launch Octopus, he takes one of his tentacles, he points at you, and then he points down at the ground. He just like as you're getting ready to fight him, he just goes, "You're going down." And I just
I
think that's hilarious.
I did like to I think one of my like favorite like secrets was
Mhm.
the boat in Launch Octopus's level.
Yeah.
And like
Yeah.
when you take that out, I was like, oh yeah, that was probably one of my favorite sequences. Yeah.
It probably loses its luster nowadays, but I remember as a kid, those they're basically eels, like robot eels that you had to beat under the water that you get
Oh,
on its back and you
I
shoot its
thought they were
head.
like sea dragon kind of things.
Yes, yes, yeah, those were so cool to me just as an
Yeah.
imaginative younger guy.
Yeah.
It was just so cool riding on that. Now, I hadn't had the experience of Shadow of the Colossus where, it takes you where you're holding onto an
It's
eel or
still
riding on the
cool.
back of an eagle, but yeah.
It's still cool. I mean, like honestly, I just kind of like cheesed them.
Sure.
Like I did jump on them sometimes, but for the most
Uh-huh.
part, like I just like cheesed them. I was like,
Did you
I'm
have
gonna.
Storm Eagle?
No, I
Because
didn't
that could
use it.
hit it
I
like a
just
ton of
used
times.
the I just used the. I just would power my blaster. It just took
Okay.
a
Yeah, yeah.
while, but it wasn't
Right.
like terrible.
Right. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's
There's Yeah, it's definitely a really cool lineup. I love the lineup of bosses and levels, and so
Hmm.
yeah, I don't know that I really have much to say in terms of favorite because every time I think of a different one, like I like Spark Mandrels a lot. I like the electricity and the things that
The
are going
lights
on
going
there.
off and on.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that one is pretty cool.
Like
Um,
it's just cool. I like the feeling of Boomer Quangers. I like Sting Chameleon's level a lot. I think there's some really cool imaginative enemies there, and you can go into some secret areas, going through the forest, and you get the huge kind of like mech thing that you can jump in as you're kind of
yeah.
wading through the marsh there, which is fun. So, yeah, there's a lot to love. I know I'm not really answering the question in terms of favorite because I think there's so much
They're
there.
all pretty cool. Like it's
Yeah.
just like it's like I said. I think my like if I had to say my favorite is just like when you sort of knock Armadillo's armor off.
Yeah.
I was like yeah.
Because oh dude, yeah, because if you don't do that,
Oh,
he's rough.
he's terrible if you don't knock that armor off.
Yeah.
He's
But then
horrible.
once you do, it's much
He's
easier.
such a punk at that point in time. You're like, nah, dude. Like you gonna get this today.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
you have
Good
in
stuff.
the notes
Yes.
about the music and the sound design. Oh,
Yes.
that freaking like just even the main thing. The, dun 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 dun
Dun,
dun
dun,
dun
dun, dun,
dun.
dun, 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 dun. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, with
so good.
the electricity, the thunderbolts going.
Yeah,
So I included both music and sound design because I think the chunky sounds of this game are so satisfying. The shots, the charging, the when you hit something and it makes a
dude.
sound, it just feels so good.
Even the like, there's some really like good sound cues, like filling up your e tanks. Like
Mhm.
if you're grabbing like extra health, like there's like a sound, and then there's like it's like so there's like the picking up health sound, but then when you fill an e tank, it's like a little different. It's like it's a
Yep,
lot more abbreviated. It's kind of
like a pellet sound.
like a pink,
Yeah.
kind of like yeah. I was just like, oh yeah.
The shing of your dashes sounds so
Mm-hmm.
good. Even the picking of when you're wall jumping or
Mm-hmm.
you're jumping up against the walls. Like I love the sounds, the way that this game sounds. With both the sound design, I think of some of the weapons as well that you can
Mm-hmm.
use, like even the rolling shield, which is not a good weapon, but the sound that it makes is really cool.
Yeah,
Um,
like the thunk kind of like it.
it's almost like an energy shield kind of sound.
Yeah,
Uh,
but like when it hits something, it like when you
mhm.
hit something with it, it's actually a really terrible weapon. It has like
Yeah,
three good uses, and
right. And one
one
of
of
which is the last boss.
yeah, yeah,
But
but
that's Mega Man for you.
yeah, it's and even there, it's like it's hard to use it in that capacity.
Right. Yes. Yeah, it is for sure.
It's like, well, that this sucks. It's
Yeah.
like really this was the call.
Mhm.
Okay. Um, yeah, but the
So
sound design is really good.
sound design is fantastic and the music I think is great as
Hmm.
well. It uses
It's
a it's very Super Nintendo, but it's very rock oriented.
hmm
And I just think all of this is during a time, well, just like original Mega Man, where melody was king, and so there's so many catchy tunes throughout this throughout
hmm
the I think of Storm Eagle stage. That's fantastic. Really, I'm sure there are tons of covers and fully orchestrated versions, which I'm sure sound great. But I think even with the Super Nintendo sound palette, I really like what they did with this soundtrack, and I think it's fantastic. So
hmm
even though can't go into much depth, we're really kind of rounding the corner on this. We can't go without
it's
talking about the
pretty
sound because
it's
it's
pretty good, and it's like I think it's just like it's again it's sort of like that even just the sound design is really masterfully executed. Like everything has like the sounds have like a certain weight and a texture to them that is really pretty delightful, especially sort of given such limited tool kits, in
Hmm.
comparison to what we have today. It's yeah, it's just like it communicates a lot of things. Like there's just like there's a weight to it. I think I was saying that it just yeah, it does a lot of heavy lifting, which is kind of
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Um, and but it's not, yeah, it's not too in your face or anything like that. It's
Hmm.
interesting. It's kind of like we were talking about the
Oh,
band
Mastodon.
Mastodon,
Yeah.
how
Yeah.
it's like the sound design is it's not super assertive, but it's
Right.
there, and it when you need to notice it, it's there. Yeah, if you're paying attention, yeah. I I
Hmm.
I really did like that. Yeah, and that the tracks are real bangers. It's a fun soundtrack. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's great, and it comes together with, I think, the visual design and everything, and the unique locales and environments and things. Like it just feels very like a complete package, and it complements just the presentation of this game overall is done really well. And these are the reasons why I love this game. So as we bring this to a close, just some final questions is I wrote down here, does the game still hold up? I wholeheartedly believe that it does.
I
I think it's actually even more awesome when you think, oh, they made this, with limited resources versus nowadays. But I do think it holds up really well. What do you think?
Yeah, I was pretty pleased with it. Like it's like one of those things where it was pretty delightful.
Yeah.
Because I had to be on I have to be honest, I was a little worried about just like difficulty.
Sure.
Like, I'm
Yeah.
not as my Twitch reflexes are just not there anymore. And
Yeah.
so,
Not what they
um
used to be.
but
That's true.
it didn't feel like that's like the with it's funny, like with the announcement of Silk Song that we were
Hmm.
talking about earlier, like I'm like,
Can I
Hollow
do it
Knight
again?
was a workout. And I'm like, am I gonna be able to keep up with Silk Song? But like like, and it's funny because it's like in my head, I was like these feel like pretty tough, but it doesn't feel insurmountable at all. Like it does,
Hmm.
like I said, there are like some cheap sort of like jabs. Like it's like, hey, you're gonna jump in, enemy's gonna spawn right there, and he's gonna like see ya.
Knock it. Yeah. Hmm.
Like that was pretty obnoxious,
Yeah.
but like other than that, like yeah, I think it stands up. I
Hmm.
would actually really recommend too the Legacy Collection, just because I think like
Okay.
the sprite work that they used as sort of like the default is just gorgeous.
Hmm.
It's just so gorgeous. It's like it's so clean, and it's like it's pixel art, but it's like the pixel art that like you it's the pixel art that like you're like, oh yeah, like this is what I thought this game looked like in real life,
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
Um,
That's awesome.
so yeah, uh, I think it stands up. And just to
Sweet.
sort of talk about placement, I actually think it's at 13 is a really good spot. I
Awesome.
mean, I definitely feel like it's definitely top 20 material.
Yeah.
Yeah, there could be something I think at some point in time that maybe like, hey, we need to push it down, but it's a I think like one, it does a lot with a little.
Hmm.
It's really great design and design philosophy. And it's a game that sort of I really like the sort of the approachable nature. Like
Hmm.
I could sit down for an hour or two in the evening, and this is coming in on it cold, and play and feel like I had made progress, which
Yep.
that's not all like so it's like all of those things, and it's just like again, it's like it's a really complete package game. I think like it's one of those things where it's like I really like the game. I think there are better games,
Okay.
but I think just from a pure execution standpoint, like this thing, it's like it's a complete package. Does that make sense?
I think so. Do you mean better games in its genre, or do you just mean in general you
In general,
prefer? Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
like, but I think
Yeah.
like this is just it's sort of like a best in class thing where it's like
Right.
it just does everything like yeah, it's like it is timeless. It does sort of like stand on its own. It still stands up.
Mhm.
I th- I think there are better games on our list that probably don't rank as high, but I
'Kay.
think the masterful execution and the approachability,
Yeah.
like for me, like win the day.
Yep.
Where it's like there are some games probably below this that would be like, oh, like, I prefer that one like a little bit more to this. But I'm like,
Sure.
no, this is still a stinking great game. Like I don't have the same like I'm not like gonna like champion this. Like I'm not gonna
Mhm.
like die on a hill for this thing. But I'm like, no, this is pretty stinking good. This is like really this is pretty stinking great. Like I think it's just like yeah, like like I said, the platforming kind of sucks sometimes, but I think all platforming kind of
Sure.
sucks. Uh,
Okay. Okay.
I'm just like,
Yeah.
oh, you want me to jump on things? Ugh.
Where
Um,
yeah. Yeah.
but
No,
no,
I
I
get you.
like I would say like I was saying, I just think again, sort of like one, it's just what they do with it, and then just again like the approachability, like it's just like I think it's sort of easily best in class kind of thing,
Mhm.
where it's like, and I don't know that like I don't know that anything really does Mega Man like Mega Man.
Mhm.
Like it's an action platforming game. Like
Yeah.
and it's really good. It's really fun. Like
Yeah.
I was like
And
I was really glad to play it.
awesome. That makes me very happy to
It
hear.
was a delight.
Delight. Yes. Yes. Our top 100 list reflects this, but I do think this is my favorite Mega Man game of
Mhm.
the entire series. Mega Man X is the one for me. Love me some old school Mega Man as well, but I this one is at the top.
I just yeah, and I think too like the fact that like it sort of does combine that like that sort of that sort of attention to detail and sort of almost like that just like the again it's like it to me it really is an improvement on the original Mega Man games because like they just felt like a little too like hardcore, and this
Mhm.
just rounds off. It gives you some extra tools, but it
Yep.
rounds off some of those rough edges, and I'm like, oh
Mhm.
no, like again, like I love the design, I love the music, I love like the gameplay was really approachable and fun. So it's like, yeah,
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
think 13 is a good spot for it. I think
Yeah.
anywhere in the top
Yep.
20 is probably like, yeah, a good spot for it.
Yep.
Is it top 10 material? That's real contested.
Sure.
Um but
Right.
I think this is a great game. I think this is like a very strong must play in my book. Like it's just like, hey, like it's an approachable and accessible sort of like piece of video game history that
Mhm.
like reflects like kind of you can see like the again like I talked about like the sort of the weird like arcade brutality,
Mhm.
like it's there but it's not oppressive. It's not like it but that design philosophy is still present, and I
Yeah.
like it's noticeable. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And I think it's a step up from like you can see all the things they're playing with from the evolution of the original Mega Man games to
Yeah.
this new one, while also it does not overstay its welcome. Because I think
Yeah.
especially
Yeah.
with these kinds of games, that's possible. And it kind of stinks because you can have too much of a good thing. And this
Yeah.
one, I don't feel that that's the case at all. So, and I think
Yeah.
maybe some of the later games kind of do that a
Get
little
a
bit.
little bloaty. Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe,
Yeah.
maybe, maybe.
So I completely agree. I think it's great where it is on our list. I wouldn't touch it. Yeah. Yeah. No, I think it's great. I'd say so the only like negative thing, if you even want to say it that way, is just this final question that we want to touch on is like what uh, as Christians when we take a look at this game, what do we have to say about it from a biblical worldview? And frankly, I think this is one of those games that is so much about the gameplay. There is a little bit of story, don't get me wrong. There's
Yeah.
some lore that we didn't delve into, but that's really it's not really front and center. I think there's some cool moments. You know, you think of Dr. Light thinking long term and planning for the future. That's pretty cool. You think of Zero and how he sacrifices himself for X. That's
Mhm.
pretty cool. But By and large, it's not a huge part of this game. It's really just kind of good versus evil and go, do the best that you can kind of a thing.
Yeah, the story doesn't matter, and
Hmm.
I would just even sort of like I think this is just like it's just a good kind of like very gamey game,
Yeah.
and
Yep.
it doesn't it doesn't really have anything to say except for like, hey, isn't that cool? To which
Hmm.
you can kind of like, if you're being honest, you're like, yeah,
Be a good
yeah,
guy
yeah.
and do good
Well, I'm
things.
just like,
Save humanity.
just be cool,
Yeah.
like shoot bad robots, dash and jump and
Hmm.
all that stuff. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
um, I
Yeah.
did want to
Just
like I
enjoy it.
sort of added this into the notes, and I did,
Yeah.
and I thought this might be good to like maybe clip out for a short, but
Okay.
let's sort of just rip into this, and since it's on the list,
Hmm.
and we kind of want to do this anyway, like let's carve out a little bit of a too long didn't listen,
Okay.
and so. I'm going to ask some questions, and we're going to try to keep this. We're just a summation of what we've already talked. Josh, who do you think should play this?
I think everyone should play this. Yeah. If you enjoy video games, this is a game for you.
Yeah, okay. I would say like yeah, I think if you're a fan and a student of the genre, like, unless you just have like a strong like you're just like no, like platformers and me just don't vibe. Like
Hmm. Sure.
um I would second that. I think this is a strong show play. I think it's for most people. Um what hmm I haven't refined these questions.
Okay.
But what do you think the sort of like the most important thing that you would want to communicate to somebody? Like like what is uh, yeah, no, I don't like that question. See, I'm trying to do the who, what, where, and why.
Ah, I like it.
Um, but like I don't have a what right now. I need to flesh out these, but like who
Hmm.
should play this? Well, okay, so what's one thing that people like and again, okay, so everybody should play this, but what is one thing sort of going into this that people should be aware of? Like the heads up. And again, it's the for me, it's like this is very much like it's sort of steeped in old school design. And so
Hmm.
there's a level of sort of like uncompromising difficulty that I don't think is insurmountable, but to modern players might be a little bit of a stumbling block.
Hmm.
Like that extra friction, they might not be used to that.
Yep. Yep. Progression in this game is largely due to exploration and learning as a player. This is not a game where you have experience points, where you have hit points and things like that, that you have a life meter, but you don't,
And you can
you don't
upgrade
see
that.
numbers. Right. Right. But you do
Mhm.
that through exploration. So the more you play this game, the more you will understand it.
Mhm.
And so it's about you as the player progressing along with the characters and the upgrades that you get throughout the game.
Okay. We've said who should play it. We think everybody should. We've said kind of like what's one thing to sort of keep, in mind while you're playing this. Why why is this on our top 100? I mean, besides
Mhm.
is it just because like personally, I think it's just it's sort of an excellent little like time capsule. I think it's
Yep.
sort of it's a compact package that sort of does everything really well. It's like it's like A's and A minuses and sort of like across the board. And I just think
Mhm.
it's like there are a few kind of like not warts, but there are maybe a few hiccups or whatever. But again,
Mhm.
I think this is an excellent game. I think this is also sort of an excellent little like time capsule, and it's sort of like one of those things. It's like we need those history pieces. Like,
Okay.
you know what I'm saying? Like, this is like
Yeah.
something that I think like people, again, students of the genre, like serious enthusiasts, like go back and play this, because it's not too long, but also because like I think it just like it sort of distills down like it is almost all style. There's very little substance to this game aside from just like the excellence in like just gameplay.
Mhm.
Like, but again, that's more style than anything else. Um, But I just think like if I'm like, why does it belong on our top 100? Why should people play it, kind of thing? Because I was like, because it's really stinking good, and it's
Mhm.
really pretty accessible. That's to me, it's like, why is it there? Why does it belong here? And I think it's just it's a really like, I'm glad we came back to it. I'm glad you kind of like put it in my ear. Like, it's a short burn. It's
Right.
really accessible, and I think it's a really great sort of like history lesson, as well as being just like a really fun game.
Mhm. Yeah, it feels very single-minded. So all of the pieces that we've talked about, sound, visuals, exploration, things like that, they all coalesce into something that fits together really well without being bloated. It feels extremely polished. And so while it is a short game, I think that is good because it allowed the creators of the game to make very specifically designed levels so that they all feel unique, so that
Hmm.
it sounds unique, so that you can go back and replay some of these levels and they change a little bit. And again, as you explore more, you get more abilities to go around to different areas. And so it's a nice short burn that's extremely polished.
Okay. And I think the last sort of, we've got the who, we've got the what, we've got the why, and the where. Where can people find this? I
Mm,
think the best place to find this really is like that Mega Man X Legacy collection.
yeah.
I think that's available, and I'm just gonna.
Oh, on just about everything. I don't know about on Microsoft platforms, but I know it's on Switch
Mm,
and it's on Sony consoles.
I want
Oh, there's
to.
PC. Yeah, it's on Steam for sure. So it probably is on Xbox, uh, all that stuff,
I'm
Game Pass and all
seeing
that.
Switch,
Mhm.
Xbox,
There you go.
PlayStation, and it looks like, let's see, I just went to, yeah, it's on Steam as well. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's pretty much anywhere you can play games.
Hmm.
So yeah, so, and like I said, we could, carve that out, maybe make a
Love
little
it.
bit of a short there.
Yeah,
Um
that's
but
awesome.
yeah, I think, all that being said, like, I had a really great time. We
Yeah,
probably just, we need to kind of rip through these closing forms,
sweet.
because
All
I'm
right.
fading. We're having
Yep.
technical like
Issues,
weirdnesses.
difficulties. That's how it
So,
goes.
who's your
Everyone's
shout
tired.
out?
Shout out to Porcho, aka the Skinny Snake, in our Discord, because he started Active April, which is where we are challenging each other to lose some weight throughout the month of April, and whoever loses the most gets a prize, $30. So we're having a great time, and
Now,
it's
and to be fair, weight
yes,
loss is not always an indicator of better health. It's
sure,
just like, a lot of us are kind of fat, and we're just like, we need to lose some weight.
yep,
So,
yep,
um,
exactly. I just like that extra push. So shout out to
yeah,
Porcho who came to us and was like, "Hey, are we gonna do this year?" Yeah, let's do it. Thanks, Porcho.
yeah. So moving on here, my shout out is Jono, and like John,
Mhm.
like, let's be fair, let's just be honest. Jono gets a lot of shout outs because Jono is top shelf people. Um, he interacts with us more, and of a higher caliber of interaction than most people.
Mm.
Yeah, that's right. I said it. He's better than you guys. Um,
Yeesh.
ugh. No, I'm mostly joking, just,
Mhm.
but only mostly. Um, but in the breaking down the breakdown
Mhm.
section of the Discord server, he left us some voice notes that I thought, like, I listened to them earlier, and it's like, this again, he's really insightful, really
Yeah,
thoughtful, and I love the fact that we got somebody in there, somebody like him in our community, because he really just classes up the joint.
for
Um,
sure. Yeah.
so Jono, well done,
Yeah.
sir.
You're a real one, man. You're a
You
real one.
are a real one, dude. You're a G. Okay,
Oh,
but
hey, what is that? Do you see that?
Here comes a new challenger!
That's what it is. That's what it is. It's a new challenger.
so, just as a bit of a recap, here, last time we did the challenges thing, I was
Mhm.
like, I'm going to keep Snap off my phone. I did not do
Mhm.
that.
I did not do that thing.
I did not do that. What I will say though is like I do feel like I'm in kind of like I have done like I will take it off sometimes, but I was like
Okay.
putting it back on like when I was putting Byron to bed or something like that. I think what I've just sort of done in that it's like it's kind of like and it was like almost like a hassle. It's kind of like it's like letting my laziness work for me where it's like in the
Okay.
sense where it's like, oh, I have to reinstall this. I don't want to do that. Like
Yes. Yeah, that added friction for sure.
and do I really want to play this? But I think even that has helped with like just not playing when I should be not playing.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Like just
Yeah. Oh,
it's
for
like, oh,
sure.
like hey, like you're supposed to be in bed. Go to bed.
Yeah.
And I think I do that with better consistency. I should probably still
Yeah.
take it off my phone, but I'm gonna put it back on because I'm weak.
Yeah. You're enjoying it.
So
Yeah.
I think like the only thing is like the challenge sort of like moving forward. And, of course I've got the big challenge with get the -10
Mhm.
and
Sure.
praying the Psalms and sort of like just working out a little bit more often. But it's especially in light of active April, I'd like to drop about 10-15 pounds. So
Yeah.
um
Wow.
yeah.
Is that's are you saying by their next episode? Like, or by, excuse me, by next month? That is an
Um
enormous goal in a month, to me, at least.
I think 10 pounds in a month is not terrible.
That's
It's
aggressive.
it is pretty aggressive. But it's just like I'd like to really lose some weight.
Okay.
Um,
Cool.
like I'm not morbidly obese. Like
Mhm.
I'm not like disgusting, but it's I do need to, and I think that's more of like an exercise thing. Like I need to start building up muscle so that
Sure. Yeah.
like yeah, so that the fatty deposits around my midsection
Right.
will be less present.
Mhm.
How about that? Um,
Oh, I feel
so it's
you.
just like,
I feel
yeah,
you.
10-15 pounds. I could, if I could do 10 pounds in a month, that'd be kind of cool. But it's like you said, that is really, it's
That's
not
like 2
impossible.
pounds, a little over 2 pounds a
That's a
week.
week. Yeah, um, it's not, it's not impossible. I've done it before,
Okay.
but yeah, like if I could just like drop 10-15 pounds and it, like if I could drop 5 pounds over the course of April
Mhm.
and then like maybe another, like I said, like 10 pounds over the next month or two in addition, like
'Kay.
that'd be sick.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
well,
how about we just like we'll
nice.
scale it down, we'll say 5 pounds by the end of April.
Okay. Okay. Hey, that sounds familiar. Is there an echo in here? Because that is what I have written down as well is 5 pounds in April. Simply because dividing it up into weeks. And then also, dude, Easter is towards the end of the month. And so I know like that's going to be a bit of a
Oh, all
speed
that
bump.
stinking candy.
So, right. So,
It's
like, because I know
oh
those things, okay, I think 1 pound a week is gonna be pretty aggressive because I know some of these things are coming up. So, 5 pounds by the end of April, I think it's a bit of an aggressive goal for me, but I'm gonna roll with it, man. That's what I'm hoping for. Um, it might not win any awards, might not win any
well,
prizes, but that's my goal.
I think just due to the nature of the fact that we are the sponsors of the prizes, that I think in
We
most
probably won't win.
circumstances probably makes us ineligible.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, that's true.
but
That's true,
how'd
which
you
is
do
fine.
with how'd
Yep,
you do with the
replacing
in
YouTube.
YouTube? Because it sounds like you were talking about like the history survey and then
Right.
the history books.
Mhm.
So it sounds like you kind of did that, right?
Kind of. Yes, yes. I would say for, like, the first half of the month, I think I did really well, and it kinda tapered off to, like, last week. I didn't listen to much of the I didn't watch much of the history videos. So, I think it kinda gotten a little rocky, if that makes sense, but I started out strong. So,
Okay.
I still need to get back to that and just prioritize other things like intentional learning over YouTube, because that's just kind of my default. It's like, oh, if I'm doing something else, like I'll do that, or a podcast or something. So
That's, I think, like in lieu of sort of like keeping Snap off my phone, I think moving forward too, like I just want to be more consistent. I want to journal daily, like at least once a day, take a couple minutes, maybe do like a daily recap or just like a collection of my thoughts.
Nice.
So
Nice.
I'm gonna throw that in our notes just so it's
like
there
it.
for me.
Yeah. That's kind of like today's journaling, right? Just writing in our notes. No, I'm kidding. But as I look at our notes, it looks like that is just about the end of our notes. The last portion that we have is from you, your input. If you would like
Me?
to input anything. No, our listeners.
What?
No, I've been talking to you this whole time, man. Come on. We've already gotten your input. No, I'm kidding. But
Rude.
where I'm not
sir.
kidding is that we do want to hear from you. Yes, you who is listening in your ear holes right now. I guess Nate's still listening. Anyways,
you're making it weird, dude.
I am making it weird, but you can reach out to us tons of different ways to let us know what you think about Mega Man X and how much you love it. All those ways on social medias and all those things.
If you don't love it, we don't want to hear from you.
I don't think I will hear it because it's
that's like the stupid thing where we're just not gonna hear it.
It's just it's like white noise. It gets canceled out with all the awesomeness of Mega Man X. Anyways, you can reach out to us if you go to our Linktree, linktree.com/the Backlog Breakdown has all those links to our social medias where you can pump some white noise in our ears or some sweet nothings in our ears about Mega Man X.
Yeah, you can tell us how good a job we did. But you know what, Josh? It has been a night, and much like the Blue Bomber himself, he had a goal. He did the thing, and then he sort of stood stoically over the remains of his enemy's fallen domain.
We didn't even talk about the ending. It looks so cool.
It's a really cool scene.
You
guys should just play the game and see it for yourself because it's pretty good. But anyways, like Mega Man did the things. We told the listeners to do the things, and now we need to do our thing, which is like just land this plane. So until next time, what should they do?
Guys, keep beating down your backlogs, and we'll keep breaking down the benefits.
I am